So this would be my first time going fishing. I've never actually caught a fish before. I spent my whole life living in the UK, and when you want fish, you go to the supermarket, you get it, and then you cook it. Whereas this would be a huge change. I'm actually going to try and attempt to catch fish. So come along.
Ryan Little.
So I travelled today from Old Street to London Bridge, and from London Bridge to Croydon, where I'm going to be meeting my friend Declan, who's actually, I would say, a mini expert, at fishing. I'm with my friend Declan, so just explain what we're going to do today.
So first stop is we'll go to the tackle shop and we're going to pick up the baits.
Okay, yeah.
So we're going to be going coarse fishing today, so the main bait to use is maggot, so we're going to buy some maggots, and I've pretty much got all of the other equipment we have that we need, and yeah, let's see what we can catch today.
Hopefully I get something big. Do we have to throw it back into the water, anything that we catch?
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, let's see what we catch. So where are we going to? Is it like a big lake, or is it just a river, or is it a pond?
So we're going to like a castle grounds down in Chiddingstone. So it's more like a manor house, but they class it as a castle. But yeah, there's a lake on there, and there's like an honesty box. You pay £10 to fish there.
Oh wow!
Yeah, it's just down in Edenbridge, Kent. So it's about, I'd say, half an hour drive from here. But we'll stop at the bait shop first, which is on the way. Pick up what we need to, and then continue.
So, what are we looking at the moment?
This is a selection of hooks, floats, and different types of equipment for fishing. I probably wouldn't even be able to name half of the stuff. That's more for like predatory fish.
Okay.
So obviously they look for smaller fish they can
eat. Yeah.
And these are similar.
So what do we need for what we're going to catch? So the fish that we're catching, they're not predatory fishes. So what would it?
It's going to be smaller. So we just need maggots. So we're going to get this sort of maggots. This is the bait we'll be using today. So you can see mixed maggots.
They're alive.
So eventually they'll turn into casters and then into flies, blue bottles. But obviously we just want them at this stage.
Oh wow!
And yeah, you can keep them alive. You normally give them a bit of milk as well. Put them in the fridge. Just make sure your partner doesn't mind.
Maggots in the fridge. Oh wow!
Interesting, isn't it?
Yeah. So to actually fish, what do you actually need?
So to fish, you need a fishing rod, of course, a reel, and obviously depending on the type of line will dictate the size of fish you can catch. Obviously a lighter line will catch a smaller fish, a heavier line will catch a bigger fish. You need a landing net to land,
kind of scoop up
scoop the fish up as you're about to land it. Obviously a small fish is not really required, but a larger fish, you don't want it to damage your rod and you don't want to hurt the fish.
And
what's called an unhooking mat. So obviously depending on the size of the fish, instead of having to place it down on some gravel or any dirt, you want to put it down.
Put it on something.
You want to be able to look after the fish, especially with coarse fishing. It's kind of frowned upon to either take the fish home or to eat them.
Yeah, you have to throw them back in. Yeah.
So yeah, a lot of fisheries take pride in their fish, and they take pride in you looking after them. So a lot of this equipment is required by them.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Ooh. Is fishing an expensive hobby? Because we went into the shop now and it seems like there's quite a lot of expensive equipment, and there's some cheap equipment. Does that affect how obviously what you catch basically?
Yeah, I think as you said, like anything, there's expensive products and there's cheaper products. You could get a cheap fishing set from Argos, for example, or you can go to more of a specialised shop where we've just been to. But ultimately, it depends on the type of fishing and what you hope to catch. So sea fishing, obviously stuff can predominantly be a bit more expensive. Obviously stuff's heavy duty. It has to be a different material because of obviously the corrosion from the seawater.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Exactly.
Why did you get into fishing?
So I started fishing at a young age. My dad used to bring me, yeah, it was just kind of a happy place for me that I could kind of detach from everything. And I've only recently started to get back into it. It wasn't the cool thing to do in our teenage years, so I kind of gave it a break. But yeah, recently it's just kind of given me an opportunity to get back out there with nature. And yeah, you just don't know what you're going to catch. You could find a rare species, and
that'll be cool.
The fun, I think for me, the fun in it is whether it's a different type of fish or the size of the fish. There's so many elements to fishing and the type of fishing, and today we're going to do coarse fishing. So
okay, we'll see. Hopefully I catch something rare. I'll show it. If I don't catch anything, it's because I'm a beginner.
Look for the best spot, then just try and get as quiet as possible. So you don't scare the fish. Until you kind of set up, just so you know where they are. I always try to look for lily pads or bang. Lily pads down there.
It's because the fish
they normally hide under the
shade. So this is beautiful. So you've got the castle in the background. You've got some fields in the background here. And then in the distance, you've got the lake where I'm going to be fishing. Wow. I know. It's beautiful.
This rod comes in 3 parts. I went fishing last week, so a lot of it's already put together, but yeah, the main thing is obviously to connect each section.
Wow, that's a huge rod.
The one you'll be using today is a lot smaller.
Okay, it's beginner's rod. This is, look at that. Have you ever lost a rod in the water?
I've lost loads of bits of equipment, but I haven't lost a rod yet.
Yeah.
Touch wood. I haven't had a fish big enough to take it. So, the setup we're going to be using today is we have a size 14 hook.
Okay, oh wow, yeah.
And we have a miniature waggler float with 3 BB shots.
So what does that do?
Combination of things. So the shots obviously help to keep the float in place. But so basically what happens is you cast into the water. This is above the water, the orange tip.
Yeah.
So, and obviously the hook and the bait's underneath. So when this gets pulled under, you don't have a bite under the water.
Okay.
So anyway, it'll probably be better when you see it out there, you'll see what I mean.
Yeah, it makes a lot more sense.
But the weights are obviously there to keep it in place, but also to weigh it down enough so that the tip just sits above the right level.
That makes sense, yeah.
And then depending on the type of fish you catch, you can also put different, they're called BB shots.
Yeah.
Throughout the length of the line as well. So the lake isn't that deep, so we know that we're better off obviously having a shorter amount of line between the float and the hook. So let's get some maggots on and cast this one out, and we'll set the other one out.
Okay, perfect.
So the art is basically fish, just as you know, the float goes under the water. You know, so different maggots. So if you ever see that float go under the water, you have to basically hook set the hook into the fish's mouth.
Okay. And it hooks, that's when you pull the wire a little bit, you tug it a little bit.
Pull the line, exactly.
And what's that thing that it's sitting on? Is that just like a stand to prop it up?
Stand. So as you can see now, it's always good. So it's a bit of a waiting game. Today's not the best conditions because it's quite hard because the wind's blowing, so it's blowing you off course, and it's a bit harder obviously with visibility. But ultimately, as soon as that float goes under the water, you need to set the hook, reel in. So at the moment, that small hook, you're only likely to get small fish, and that's why we're fishing so close to the bank.
Okay, that makes sense.
Another type of method.
Okay, great.
It'd be nice if
So in another location, so we can potentially swing our hook a bit further into the water without hitting the trees actually. But it's just beautiful, like look at the whole landscape behind me. There's like a small bridge on the corner over there. So yeah, hopefully I catch some fish today.
So the BB shots that you use to keep the float in place and to wear it down in the water, they have a little opening you insert the line into. You can just close it.
Oh wow, okay. So you put about 3 on there.
So depending on the size of the float, this I know is going to need more.
Yeah.
So normally, the deeper the float, obviously the deeper the water.
Yeah.
The water isn't that deep here, but this is the only float I have with me. It's quite easy to put in, just slot it into place and screws on.
Okay. It's pretty cool. So my one's a lot smaller, but it's a beginner's rod. And this one we put on the hook.
So there's a special knot, so through the eye. I was always taught to bring it over 6 times.
Ah, so you twist it around it 6 times.
And then bring it through the loop.
Perfect. So So are these, what are these key tools that you need basically?
This is called tackle, so it's just a combination of things we need. So hooks, there's a lot of different lures.
Okay, what's a lure? Is that the bouncy thing, the thing that goes in and out?
A lure is pretty much something that simulates a smaller fish. So a predatory fish will then think it's a fish and go for it.
Yeah.
So there's different types of lures. There's spinners.
Okay.
Obviously they're there to mirror smaller fish, so that larger predatory fish. The biggest fish I caught was actually on that one, and it even took, so there's a treble hook, it even ripped one of the hooks off.
Dang.
And then there's different types of floats online. There's not too much equipment, I've got a lot more doors and different bits in there. To hook a maggot on, so normally you have to go through the back of their head. That's because that's one of the toughest parts. So it just ensures that the maggot stays intact.
So I'm going to hook the maggot. So I hold that.
And hold the top of it. And so you need to pick your maggot up.
So, alright, so I've got this my little rod and hook here, and reel and hook. So I'm going to hook the maggot. I've never actually held a maggot before.
So yeah, if you get one up, I'll do one, and then I'll
so
literally just pick one up.
Oh god, okay.
And you can see obviously there's the tail and the head.
So where's the head? Is it?
The head will be this end.
So, oh god, okay, okay.
If you hold it, you can feel it wiggling a bit.
Oh. I wasn't ready for that. Okay, let's get another one.
You can even just take one out, go on, get stuck in it. Don't do it worse. So just get one of the
So
maggots.
which side? Just any
side. It won't bite, it can't do anything, it's just going to feel a bit strange, it feels a bit wiggly.
So that's that.
And then give that a go. Put it through.
Oh, I don't think I got it.
Yeah. That's it. Because you went a little bit lower than the head, that's why it's bleeding.
Okay.
But it's still fine. See, that's it. It's your first time hooking on the type of fishing you're doing. With the float, you cast out and you wait for the top of the float to go into the water. With this, for example, you constantly cast out and reel in, cast out, reel in to obviously simulate a fish, and hopefully a predatory fish would obviously bite onto it. And then this is another larger float, just to get further out. You don't need any BBs because it's self-weighted.
Okay.
So you just tie your line
those
onto
are the
that.
easy ones, yeah.
It's just for bigger fish, and because it gets you out further, and it will take a bigger fish to take this underwater.
Okay.
A small fish, even the size of this, can take that float under the water.
Yeah.
But a float this size, you'd need at least quite a substantial size.
Yeah.
There's a load of sea fishing stuff that I haven't used yet. This is called wire trace. So this again is used when predatory fishing.
Okay.
So you actually attach this directly above the imitation fish.
Yeah.
And the reason is because they have quite sharp teeth, so even strong line, they may be able to bite through them. So take your line, take off the latch, when you get to a 90-degree angle, release your finger from the line, and that allows the spool to cast the line out.
Okay.
And then you put the latch back on, reel in.
Okay, I'm going to try it now. Okay. So this finger on the line? Yeah. And where's the latch? Oh, that's the latch. Okay, so.
But you're actually better waiting if you finger off.
Yeah.
Wait until it comes to the point where it's here.
Oh, okay. And then I push.
And then you put the latch off.
Okay.
It allows free flow.
Free flow. And then
when you get to a 90-degree angle, you release your finger to allow the line to go.
It's like in a tree. And it's over the head, right?
Yeah.
Is that right?
That's correct, yeah.
Didn't go too far.
Didn't go too far, but you did it right. Yeah. You can reel it in a bit. If you keep reeling it.
So yeah, I'm fishing now, technically. There's not much to it, but I'm just gonna wait really. So I'm all set up, it's a bit windy. But my float's out there, it's not too far out, you know, it's that little red dot hovering in the water there. I might swing it out again, but yeah, so literally it's just a waiting game from now really. So yeah, ready to go again. Hopefully I don't hit a tree.
Ryan Little.
Minutes or so, and if we don't have any bites, we'll try another method. So I think it's quite windy today, so it's really hard to see any movement on the float. Normally, if the float went under the water, if the float went to the left, to the right, you know that a fish is biting. But because it's so windy, that's happening constantly, so it's very hard to gauge. So I think we can try another method whereby we're casting and our bait, along with whatever tackle we use, will end up on the floor as opposed on the top, and then we can slowly reel in and see what fish are attracted.
And is that because the fish will be hiding deeper in the water?
Yeah, so on a hot day or a warm day or a settled day, they'd normally come to the surface to either look for flies or for other types of bait. But on a day like today, where everything is being blowing everywhere, they're probably going to be a bit deeper. So hopefully, by ice fishing, we'll be able to catch it.
Hopefully. And that's with one that doesn't have like a red bobber, it's just got weights.
It's just got a weight. So the idea is, if a fish decides to take this underwater, the only way you're going to know is if you can see your line moving. The only way you can see your line moving is to release the slack, so that if an animal takes it,
it starts to
he's
go.
able to actually take your line with it.
Okay.
And then you have to tighten it up and then reel him in.
Ah, that makes so much sense. So nothing's pulling on mine yet, but he's got the big boy rod.
Bite alarm, so that he actually, when the line goes through, it will ring off to let him know that there's bites under the water.
What? But how does he know the difference between? How does the alarm know the difference between the wind pulling it?
It doesn't really. But that's a very good point.
Okay, cool. Anything, but I think I learned a lot basically. So next time when I do go fishing, you know, I know how to set the line, and you know, I know how to cast, I know how to hook the maggot. You know, I know how to kind of like, you know, tell when, you know, maybe a fish is biting. So